Hi, my name is Martin, and today I'm calling in from the beautiful city of Prague, and I will tell you something about how I improve the user experience with Flow. First thing first, so let me introduce myself. I'm Martin, I'm Salesforce CTA working with PwC. I'm a dad, first of all. I'm also Flownatic, a blogger, and I stand behind the Czech Dreamin conference, which is happening in May at Prague. So if you don't have any plans, let's come to Prague, enjoy some great sessions, and enjoy the hospitality of Czech people as well. But back to our topic. I do have two use cases where I would say improved the user experience of my clients. The first one is a non-profit organization. This non-profit organization has like 7 different personas. It's a donor, volunteer, client, whoever. And what's the persona? They are able to tell based on the different information they do have about the contact. So if the contact has any donations, so the roll-up summary of the donations is higher than 0, then it's a donor. If the persona is, or if the contact is part of a specific campaign, it might be a lead, or it might be a press person, or client, or volunteer. So it's separated in different places. You can kind of spot on quickly that it's donor because the field with the number of donations might be prominent. But the other, as they are based on the campaign members, it might be hard to find out because there are so many campaign members for each specific contact. So they've been looking for a way how to simplify it. And when they open the contact, they can see on the first side who is that person. So first of all, don't build something you don't have to build. We checked what's available on the market. The first thing I found out, or the latest thing I've been aware of, was the Salesforce indicators, which has been created originally by Judy Miners with help of few other developers. And just recently, it has become a part of the salesforce.org community sprints. So now it's open source, anyone can use it. It's super simple to configure, and it looks really nice. The second thing I found was the FlowMagic Picklist application available from AppExchange, which has been developed by the Salesforce Labs, which just changed the picklist values from text to something more visual. And the configuration is pretty robust, so I would say you can achieve anything you want. So those were 2 candidates we had, but the client said but, as always. And the client said, we want to have it dynamic because with those 2 components, it can show the indicators based on values you have saved on the record. But in this case, they didn't really want to update the record on a regular basis or on trigger when you add them to a specific campaign. Because it didn't feel good for some reason. It would also means that we need to create extra fields to store the information about the membership in the campaigns, that we need to use something like declarative lookup roll-up summary application to, in a real time or on scheduled basis, calculate the membership in the campaigns and put it on the contacts. So yeah, didn't feel good. They wanted to have it dynamic, even though they understand the consequences. So we've been looking for something better. And at the moment, we created some kind of MVP, minimum viable product, screen flow, which we put on the lightning page of the contact. And here we can see the 7 different personas: volunteer, lead, donor, client, ambassador, press, and any additional values they do have in their multi-select picklist field, because they do love multi-select picklist field. So that's how it looks like. And now let me walk you through how we created it. So we created a screen flow. The screen flow is kind of repetitive, I would say. The first 3, call it lines, are about the same. They all querying different campaigns. The last one is a bit different. So how it looks like. Before I started to create this flow, the first thing I did is that I created a variable, which I called record. The data type is record based on the contact object, and it's available for the input. The reason why I created this variable is that when you put the flow on the Lightning page, you can click that you want to pass all the field values from the record into this flow variable, which means that you don't need to query the contact record again to get all the values you might want to. It's all available in the variable right away. And then I do have the flow. So the get records element is pretty simple. I would say it queries the campaign member where the contact ID is equal of the ID of the record we do have open. And then it's one of those two values in the campaign name. So two things to spot here is the campaign name custom field, which is a formula field we created on campaign member, because that's the only way I'm aware of how to query all the campaigns member belonging to specific campaigns based on name, because you can't do the query based on the cross field formula, or whatever you call it, cross field donation. You use a field from different object, and you can spot the hard-coded values. And I know everyone wants to get it, but I decided to use it because my approach is that if you want to change the campaigns, which means something, the first thing you will do, you will open the screen flow to find out where the configuration is stored. So you will open the flow, you will see that it's stored in some custom setting or custom metadata type, whatever, and you will need to go to another place. So I didn't find any benefit, and I wanted to simplify the life of the poor admin in the nonprofit organization. So I hard-coded it here because that's what sounds a good thing. So yeah, you need to update the flow, but at the end you can see the history and everything. The second thing is the decision element. The decision element is pretty simple. It's just say, okay, did you get any campaign member from the get element? So if it's null, if null is false, so you've got any, then it means you got a campaign member, and we can make the assignment. And the assignment is pretty simple. We just created a Boolean variable, which the default value is false, and we just make it true. So then later on we can show it in the screen flow. This thing we repeated 3 times basically for different campaigns. And the next thing we did that for the donor, we created a formula variable. Again, it's type Boolean, and it's based on the custom field. So if the value in this custom field is higher than 0, then it means it's a donor. So it's calculated automatically when you start the flow, because the Lightning page pass all the field values to this record. So at that moment, the formula is evaluated, and we know whether it's donor or not. And the last step of the whole flow is the screen. In the screen, I created the sections, which allows me to have 4 columns at maximum. And into each section, I put a checkbox. And as the value of the checkbox, I put the variable I have. So for the donor, that's the formula. For the lead, the volunteer, the client, it's the things I've got based on the campaign members. And the last thing on the bottom is just a display text where I put the title, or the title, and the values from the multi-select pick list. Done. The last thing, we've put it on the Lightning page. We run it. We also hide the header and the footer. As you can see, there are no buttons and no heading, and it's there. The first feedback from the client was, Well, it doesn't work because we forget to give the permission run flow to the users. So we enabled the users to run the flow. So the second feedback was, wow, that's pretty awesome. The third feedback was, well, actually I can click here and check and uncheck it, but because there is no next, it doesn't being saved into the record. So there is no harm, and the look and feel doesn't really suggest that you can click there. So it was just a minor feedback at the moment, and we are really waiting for the feedback from the users, whether they like it or not, whether they want to have a pictures or this is okay, and we'll see how we will progress further. It has one downside at least, and the downside is, again, feedback number 4. That's pretty awesome. Now we will be able to report based on it. And I said, oh, stop. You will not be able to report based on it because it's all being calculated on the fly. You want it to have it dynamic. That's what we said at the beginning. You want to have it dynamic. You don't want to have it stored on the record. So that's why we went with the flow. And yeah, that's where we are. Running through MVP and waiting for the client what's more, whether updating the record on daily or immediate basis based on the campaign membership, or not being able to use it in reports. The second use case I do have is from a customer who loves notes. They keep notes about everything. They keep notes for the clients, for the opportunities, for the contacts, everywhere. They are like, that was basically my first organization where I saw that they use the notes, and I've been surprised by the amount of them. But the end goal is that they want to see all the notes on the opportunities. So when they have an opportunity with a specific client or contact, they want to see all the relevant and valid notes for the client and for the contact and for the opportunity. And when we've been preparing the solution, they also came with the idea that the validity of the note might be limited, or that they want to have 2 types of the notes, which they want to group together because they have different meanings in the sales process. And they also want to be able to order the nodes in specific order based on the priority. So that's basically all the requirement they had, and we try to find a way how to achieve it. We created 3 approaches. The first one was pretty obvious: use related lists. You see the related list on account, you see the related list on contact, you see the related list on opportunity, and you can add a related list from other objects to the opportunity as well. The downside of this approach was twofold, I would say. The first one is that it means you need to have 3 related lists on the opportunity. It takes a lot of space on the screen. And the second downside was that in the standard out-of-the-box related list, you can't filter the records. The dynamic lists looks like something which might save us for the future, but at that time, the related list didn't allow that. And the last downside was that if we put 3 related lists on the screen, it will show all the nodes related to those different records, and they might repeat because some nodes might be assigned to account, contact, and opportunity. And obviously, you want to see it just once. The second idea, which we had, was just a simple custom field. Simple custom field on account, contact, opportunity, where they can order the nodes as they wish. They just put it in the correct line. If it's not valid anymore, they can delete it. And again, on the opportunity, it will mean 2 formula fields plus the field on the opportunity, which takes a bit less space on the screen than those 3 related lists. The downside again was that you don't know who enter which data when, and these kind of things. You can easily lose the data because you just select too much text and rewrite it. So it wasn't really nice. So the third approach was the final approach. We will use a screen flow, which will just take the data and will visualize it on a screen. But the next question was like, okay, where we will store the data? Historically, they've been on a classic, so they use the classic nodes. But when we've moved to Lightning, it was out of question. We needed to migrate to the Lightning enhanced nodes. So that was the second idea what to use. But at that time, we find out all the downsides the enhanced nodes has. First of all, you can't customize the object, so you can't have the different types they wanted. You can't set the priority. You can't set the end date of the validity. But that was kind of minor detail at the time. But the important detail was the sharing of the enhanced nodes, because by default, it's shared for view only with other people, but they wanted to collaborate on the nodes. They didn't really want to reach out to the author of the node to update it. And they didn't really want to have any automation behind which will set the sharing in the way they want to. So there are some open ideas where you can vote what will be the default sharing for the nodes, but at that time, and still, it's just for view only for all the other users. So the third idea and the final idea was a custom object, which was pretty simple. It basically had just a few fields: the lookup to account, lookup to contact, lookup to opportunities, the date, the type, the priority, and the text itself. And when we combine it all together and we created the screen flow and we put it on the opportunity Lightning page, it looks like this. We decided to have the whole right column available for this component because they really are heavy on the nodes. So it will take a lot of space. So we gave it on the right hand side. You can see the two types. The red one is one of those types, is the more important, so it's on the top. The other type is less important, so it's on the bottom. You can also see whether the node is linked to a company or to an opportunity or to a contact, and then you can see the node itself. So this is the definition. So as I said, link to account, contact, opportunity, the text, the validity date, type, and priority. Whether it's active or not active, it's being calculated by formula field based on the validity date. And we do have this crazy flow. And when I opened the flow before the presentation, I realized how old the flow obviously is. So it's worth some refactoring, but most of it, it's still correct. And I will go basically line by line. We do have it in the clockwise manner here. So let me show you how it will flow. The first line is basically just getting all the information. So we get the details from the opportunity on which it's available. In the previous flow, I used the record variable for that. Here I'm querying the opportunity based on the ID to get all the details. Then I will get all the related nodes for the opportunity, for the account. And if the contact is filled in, I will query the contact nodes as well. The next step is that I will loop through the nodes for the opportunities. So it's kind of simple. There is a loop element, and for each item, it will just assign the nodes into a list of all nodes. The all nodes is a variable of the record type of the custom object we created, which allows multiple values in the collection. So it's pretty simple. All the nodes for the opportunities we assign into this variable which holds multiple things, which is about the same as we already have, but there was some upside to it. For the accounts, which is the next step, and for the contacts, which is the step after, we followed a similar pattern, but it's a bit complicated with this decision diamond. And the decision diamond basically checking whether the node is already part of the all nodes variable, because we said that we want to have the nodes unique on the screen, so we don't want to repeat them. So first of all, it's checking whether it's not already part of that variable. If not, we will again assign it. If yes, we go directly for the next item on the list. The next thing is on the bottom. We just want to separate the nodes based on the types. We said we have two types. So based on the type, we assign it either into one variable or into another variable, which we created for those different types. And we are moving to the semifinal. We just make the header, and then we list all the nodes. So into a variable again, which is based on the custom object, which allows multiple values. We put in the title or the header, a new line, and then we list or add all the nodes we have for the before save nodes, as they call it, or after save flows, or anytime nodes. So we separate it into two different variables. And the last step was the screen, where we just list them. We list those of the before save type in the red, and the others in just the black text. And we did the whole operation with the header because we don't want to show the header if there is no nodes. So in such case, this variable will be empty. If there is no before save node, this variable will be empty. It will no show at all, and it will look nicer on the screen. The fact that we created the custom object for that allows us for a few extra things, I would say. The first thing is that, as you probably can imagine, we already have a scheduled flow which check for the validity of the nodes, and if the node is at the end of its validity, it will send email to the owner or dedicated person to update the node and check whether it's still valid or not. What we've been able to achieve as well is that we are able to have the unique list of the nodes. We don't repeat them if it's assigned to multiple records. So those two extra benefits is something which the client really likes, and they use it for a few years, and so far they didn't have any ideas how to improve it because they are quite happy about it. With that, I wish you to find a use case how you can improve the user experience of your clients, how you can make it better, how you can streamline the process, because that's what the screen flows are for. So don't hesitate to use it, and also enjoy all the other sessions you have today. And I hope to see you one day somewhere in person. Thank you.